I surrender all. I surrender all to thee, my blessed Savior. I do surrender all. When I was maybe 17, I really started to get excited about this idea of creating content. And I had tried so many different times in the past to make a couple YouTube videos, and they didn't pop off right away. And I'm thinking, hey, what the hell is this all about? How am I supposed to make this my living if my first try doesn't work out? And I think a lot of people fall into this pattern of trying something one time, expecting it to work out, as well as it works out for people that have been doing it for years and years. And I feel like for these things that are not just overnight successes, are not just some cheap route to quote unquote winning, it always takes a long ass time. And there's no way to cheat that. So I always talk about fungible and non-fungible characteristics. I talked about this on the last episode, where non-fungible characteristics are things that you can't cheat your way to, you can't buy your way to, nobody can give you your way to it, if that makes sense. You have to earn it. Discipline, being proud of yourself, having self-respect, all of these characteristics, these are non-fungible because you can't cheat your way there. Doesn't matter how rich you are, doesn't matter how nice the people around you are, you have to earn these things. And I think those are the best things to pursue. Because why else would you be on this earth if everything was just about cheating your way to an outcome? So I had this desire to make a living through living. I wanted my videos to do well and be like these dudes that just vlog and hang out and do whatever the hell they want, and somehow they get paid for the damn thing. What are we talking about? It seems like the craziest thing ever. And so I started to recognize that if I wanted to have real influence and do something positive with it, whereas most of the people I'm seeing with influence are just using it irresponsibly, I guess, simply using it for their own gain instead of impact. If I wanted to do that, I'd have to match that desire with some consistency, with a little bit of evidence that, hey, maybe I deserve this thing. And it's wild because obviously this is what I do now. Not just hanging out and goofing off, but I create content around my life, around my mission, around the way that I want to impact other people, and that is how I make a living. So it's kind of insane to recognize that point in my life years and years ago where I just wanted that thing so bad. I had no idea how it could be possible. Almost put the idea of it on a pedestal, which makes it feel further away from you. Eventually I started to think, well, if anybody can do it, I can, of course. But to go from that to where I am now is a really cool thing. Today being a Q&A episode and recognizing that there are questions to answer. Pretty wild thing. There are comments to respond to on my Instagram. Pretty wild thing. If you're hearing this right now, that means that somebody's tuning into my podcast. That's pretty damn cool. So it definitely makes me feel grateful to reflect on that time in my life where everything seemed damn near impossible. And I knew that it was possible, but it did not seem to have a clear path to this point. You don't look up the top 100 jobs and then number 7 is content creator, whatever the hell that's supposed to mean, and then it gives you the tutorial on how to make the perfect video to become somebody that has real influence and can impact people. That is just a shot in the dark. It's just trying. It's just shooting to build something within yourself that is actually valuable. And growing up, I always had this idea that, man, I feel like I live and think in a way that might give people something new. I don't want to own people. I don't want to have power over people because, of course, that comes from scarcity. But I want to have enough abundance within myself to where I can give and I can be stupid honest about things, because especially in this content age, there's just this this curtain that people hide behind. And their videos are the curtain, but the real self is behind it. Something I'm trying to really embrace is just being more and more and more authentic as you possibly can, without it being a distraction, I guess. Authenticity is this thing that people talk about constantly, but content's a weird one because more people than is natural hear what you have to say. I don't think a million people seeing a video of mine is really the best form of receipt of my ideas. But sometimes it happens, and then a shit ton of people get really mad. I'm going, well, this is super weird. But those judgments are made on a person that these folks don't even know. But we think that a 60-second video on Instagram is knowledge. Regardless, though, the fact that there is enough to talk about that has an impact, that can maybe change someone's life, that can maybe encourage you to be more authentic, to be more disciplined, to be more confident in yourself, whatever that might be. What a cool thing. So a couple of questions that I've saved from my little Instagram survey. Drop your questions for the Q&A pod. I'm going to go through some of these. I'm trying to pick between two of them here because they have a lot to do with what I've just ranted about. However, let's start with this fun one here that I have a lot to say on, and then we'll circle through the rest. If you had children in the future, definitely will, are you willing to adapt your routine? Okay, here's the thing. The routine essentially is for my future children. The routine is for my future self, my future family, anybody that is involved in my environment, my ecosystem, my community, including myself. That is who that's for. So people think of my routine a lot of the times as, I don't know, maybe this selfish pursuit, which, yeah, kind of, because you got to fill your own cup before you can pour into others, but it's seen as this selfish and this negative connotation kind of pursuit. What it really is me practicing a hard time. So I'm really damn good at being inconvenienced and still making shit happen. I've run every morning for 2,800 and something days in a row. I forget the count, but it's somewhere around there. Just crossed 2,800 pretty recently. That's a little over 7.5 years, if you don't know. I've taken an ice bath every day for 1,100 something days. I wake up at 5 every single morning, absolutely no matter what, no matter how I feel. This is practicing difficulty. This is real discipline. This embeds confidence in who I am, self-respect. So imagining that a kid or kids get added to my life in the future, am I willing to adapt my routine? It's not even willing, it's just have to. For me, it's have to. A lot of people approach some of the most important things in their life as kind of a maybe we'll see if I feel like it, including their children, which blows the piss out of my mind. I could not understand that for a second. Because, I care about the kids that I don't even have yet. So once they're actually real, I'll probably give a shit about them to a pretty far extent. So this idea of practicing difficulty, if anybody is going to be ready to adapt and deal with the quote unquote inconvenience that comes along with having children, it's going to be me, because I am prepared for that difficulty. Most people try and run away from that. Oh, and then you add kids to the mix. Oh, give them an iPad so they shut the hell up. Talk about dystopia. That's insane. When you go to a restaurant and you're looking around and you're seeing these kids on an iPad and their parents are just so glad that they're quiet and they want nothing to do with them. The parent feels exactly the same about themselves. They don't want to sit in a quiet room and hear their own mind. So they'll be distracted and then they pass that on to the kids. Why do you think that the whole world is full of people that just run from themselves? I mean, if I could just wave a magic wand and everybody meditates for 30 minutes, it'd probably change the world in a pretty damn significant way. But it's all about distraction. That's what people are looking for. And so am I willing to adapt? I think this question is, oh, you're so rigid. You have no room for flexibility. Would you ever change that when your kids come along? Or are you going to tell them to shut the fuck up and I'm going for my run and doing my ice bath? I'm a pretty reasonable guy. I promise you. So what I'm not going to do is use my kids as an excuse to be a bitch, which again, a lot of people do. If I wake up at 3 a.m. because kid is screaming and crying, okay. Well, I've woken up at 3 a.m. about 1,000 times to bring someone to the airport. So I wake up at 2 or 3 to do my morning routine before that, because my shit gets done before I go outward and fix everyone else's problems. So waking up at 3 a.m. for a literal human being that I've helped create, that doesn't seem like the craziest inconvenience to me. And am I still going to find a way to get cold for a few minutes and go for at least a mile run? Of course, because there's no other option. A brand new human does not mean I now have an excuse to be worse, because what the hell example is that going to show my children as I raise them? Oh, well, see, when times get tough, you can actually cower in the face of the things that pose some resistance to you. Kids are incredibly smart, and they pick up on these subliminal messages that you put off through your behavior, through the way that you communicate with other people, through the phone calls that you take, through your posture, through your energy when you play with them. So my willingness to adapt, that is the thing. I practice the willingness to adapt every single day. And I'm very, very passionate about this one, because when you are a young person, I'm 25, all you hear is, oh, well, just wait until you're, and then insert stupid ass arbitrary age. And the thought process is, oh, once you get to the age that I'm at this moral high ground, intellectual superiority of people in comment sections, once you get here, then you'll finally know how reasonable it is to default to being a piece of shit. I don't even know. When you hold yourself to a high standard as a young person, older people are going to project their failures onto your future self. And that shit's never worked for me. Oh, well, just wait until you're blah, blah, blah. Then you're not going to want to. Oh, well, I already don't want to. I already don't want to wake up early. I already don't want to get in the ice bath. I already don't want to run. I already don't want to prep my meals. I already don't want to continuously wring out my brain to be the best version of myself. But guess what? Life is half the shit that you don't want to do. And the other half, if you do the shit that you don't want to do, is enjoying the fact that you did and bearing the fruit of the space that you've created and the flexibility in your mind and the confidence that you have and the discipline that allows your mind to be an asset instead of an obstacle. So the magical age when you finally learn the lesson is the stupidest shit I could imagine. And when people say stuff like that to me, I go, oh, immediate disregard. Because if you don't think my mind is already open to difficulty and lessons that will come, well, then you're mistaken. And I think that I probably know more people well under the age of 30 that are world smarter than most older people that I know. I know about 5 older people that are rock freaking solid. I know of a ton as well, because you can get info from damn near anybody on podcasts and Instagram and all that good stuff. But personally, I know a lot of young people that are super tapped in, super smart, super willing to learn and grow and adapt. That's kind of the ideal mindset of, well, never mind a young person, just any person. But older people that have screwed up their life and now they hate that they can't fix those things that they screwed up, I guess. They want to project that onto younger people that, I don't know, haven't had the chance to screw it up like that yet. But see, the older people that I respect the absolute hell out of, those are the ones that learn and adapt just like anybody else. and then pass on positive lessons to the people that come after them. My grandfather has always been so abundant in trying to make my life better than his life was. Because what the hell else is the purpose of it? People get information from their parents and then they just make the same stupid mistakes and completely disregard, and then just grow up and do the same thing and then preach the same thing to their kids. Their kids do the same to their kids, and it just continues on. When we have people that operate out of abundance, like my grandfather again, for example, well, he wants my life to be better than his was. And then I'm going to want my kids' and grandkids' lives to be better than mine was. This is the whole point. You pass shit on, and it's super powerful. But when you pass on your projections and your failures and your weaknesses, I don't think a lot comes from that. Except a world full of people that, again, you guessed it, want to distract themselves and run away from themselves. And nobody is a good enough runner to get away from themselves. You know what I mean? This distraction mindset is crazy. And it's so deeply rooted because of all of the things that I just mentioned. Who's willing to adapt and do the hard things? If you are willing to do those things, you're a freaking rock star in a real way. A real way. So, am I willing to adapt my routine for my future kids? Well, of course. The routine itself is metaphorical. The routine is symbolic for something that shows my character. It's not an attachment to the running necessarily. The running is a vehicle to building this character within myself. Same with the ice bath, same with all of the other things. So to recognize the value in that and then pass that on, well, I don't really get to pass it on if future kids equals great excuse to default to a worse version of myself. Simply wouldn't let that happen. But once I'm 40, then I'll know. Then I'll realize how terrible it is. Anyways, next question. I'm going a little bit deeper into each question today because there are some that really stand out, and I love talking through these topics. Month to month, does posting on your platforms bring in revenue consistently / pay bills? Well, I make a living coaching people. I coach people to build unbreakable discipline and confidence because my entire life is the curriculum of being disciplined and confident. And that is my specialty. Some people teach you how to make a ton of money. Sure, why not? Some people teach you how to freaking dance. I don't know. Maybe I could do that too. But when it comes to my bread and butter, holy cow, discipline and confidence is my thing. So I coach people through creating that in their own life. One-on-one, I also run a community. So these are the ways that I make a living. Views and all of that kind of stuff. Instagram doesn't pay you shit, as far as I know, for views. And TikTok, kind of a terrible platform. I know you can make money on there for longer videos and stuff like that, but my brain is just not really cut out for success on TikTok necessarily. And then content, everything that I do forward facing is a representation of just the person that I am. And then people that want to work with me more closely to create real fundamental change in the way that their mind works, that is the heart of what I do. That is the real job. And holy shit, it's just the most powerful process ever, because I feel lucky enough to be able to operate out of abundance instead of scarcity. It's conviction-based instead of obligation-based. Being able to help people grow based on their own priorities instead of my personal bias is the best feeling ever. Most of the time, I'm instructing people to not be like me, because if I can gather that their priorities are heavily different from mine, why would I tell them to live the same way? But if I was just seeking leverage, I would tell you, hey, if you're not doing an ice bath every single day, you're a bitch. And if you're not running, if you're not eating the same exact way that I do, then you are not doing okay. And it's just this false authority that I see all over the place, and it's just mind-numbing. But I don't approach things in that way. Because I'm operating out of abundance, I get to watch people change in the most incredible ways possible. It's not just, oh, stick to a meal plan for 90 days. Oh, do a workout plan for this. Oh, but it is fundamental change in the relationship with the self. That's what discipline really is. You want to be your own hero? Think about who outside of yourself is a hero. It's probably somebody that does some hard shit because you're recognizing how difficult it is to maintain the character of being the person that does hard things consistently and does the things they say they're going to do. So in the relationship with yourself, if you're willing to quit on yourself because times get tough, you're going to see yourself as the opposite of a hero. These are the things that people can actually change through. Because just blindly sticking to something because a coach tells them to, that ain't it. I don't want authority over the people I'm working with. When I see somebody make incredible strides in their life, I know that they did that. I get to see an actual transformation in somebody based on the things that I have learned through my kind of lifestyle, but not projecting the fact that they need to live that way. It is actually the most fun thing ever. So yeah, that's how I pay my bills. But the whole content journey definitely didn't start that way whatsoever. I can't approach something with just this monetary goal and say that it's going to be a full pursuit. And so when I started posting on social media, I swear to you, the thought process was, dude, I'm going to just post until the cows come home, and I'm going to talk about the way that I live, and I'm going to show my consistency, and that's it. I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe somebody is going to reach out to me and say, oh, you need to write a book, and then whatever, which somebody did, and I feel like I'm kind of young to do a whole big 200-page book. You know what I mean? I want a little bit more experience in my life, which I could always say, but I'm not really one to arbitrarily push things off. This just feels like an actual reason to me. And I genuinely had no idea what was going to happen. I didn't have a business intent, no money intent. I wanted to see how my life would change if I put the ideas out there super consistently. Now, when it comes to short form social media, since that point I started, the tides have definitely changed. And you don't win through real value. You know what I mean? It's more entertainment value, which I guess is most content anyways, but you don't really learn through true education on short form. I think I can approach this podcast and say, look, I want you to hear this and walk away from this with real knowledge. I want you to feel like you gained something. And that typically wins on longer form platforms if you do it for long enough. Short form, my approach, as shitty as it sounds, is kind of naive to think that, I could just create the best videos ever and pour my heart into helping folks. People don't get on Instagram to be helped. They get on Instagram to be distracted. And so making sure that my energy gets poured into the right channels is something that is really, really important to me. But yeah, the short form, I think, I don't know. Sometimes that's just a sense of frustration because I can't bring that same conviction that I started with to it. I think advertising your personality and disguising it as valuable content is probably the best way to do it, which sounds kind of cynical and dystopian, but that's what most people do that actually succeed on that. I wouldn't say that I'm very good at that. This podcast, however, I freaking love, and I feel like I create some value within this. At least that's my hope. So again, the way that I pay my bills, that is more of the intentional work with the one-on-one clients that I work with and my community that I've built around very similar principles and ideas, sort of a mastermind structure. If either of those things are of interest to you, by the way, the links to apply will be in the description or show notes of the episode. So you can book some calls, make sure that things align, and maybe change your life. Taking away the maybe, because I know how life can change. Now, next question. Let me see which one I want here. Oh, okay. What are the parts of life you feel you're lacking the most in and are actively improving? Oh, I can give you a practical one based on this little social media rant I just went on. I think the best way to approach short form content, or at least the way that I'm trying to kind of work on that, is being very immediate with having the idea and then creating that video in the most authentic and timely way. Because I've definitely gotten into the habit of thinking of an idea and then I feel like I'm always in the wrong place physically, as in I'm not going to record a video while I'm at the gym because I just don't want to, really. And so I try and take note, and then later on I'm going, dang, when I was saying it in my head, this shit sounded way better. And then right now it feels like I'm just looking at myself in the reflection of my phone and trying to say this message, and it's not really coming out right. So trying to be more quick with that process is definitely good. Also, I mean, the thing that I talk about so much is the intersection between valuable characteristics is where things become really, really valuable. I think people now value the intersection of multiple statuses of victimhood, which is very, very stupid. But the intersection of great characteristics is actually much cooler than any one characteristic. So I think one of the only reasons that my lifestyle and discipline and sometimes rigid expectations of myself are actually valuable is because of my personality being very, very different from that. So I'm a lot more sarcastic and lighthearted and singing and dancing all the time. I would say outwardly that's more how I am and who I am. And then just the way that I happen to live and build self-respect and a great relationship with myself is through those more disciplined, confidence-based channels. The intersection of those two things I think is very special. So the fact that my Instagram for a very, very long time was just freaking serious stuff all the time across the board, I think that's a huge disservice to who I am and how I could impact people a little bit further, because, and I've talked about this and then I recognize that I'm not good at it. If somebody is just one way, it's only the people that are already that way that are really going to listen. Unless it's just an abrupt contrast and then it's, whoa, this person is so different from me, I'm kind of interested. But you get what I'm saying. If I'm to show a lot more of just the random funny takes that I have, which is so cringe to say, by the way, or just show my actual sense of humor, the way that I see things immediately, authentically, instead of trying to be perfect and tying ideas together with just absolute precision. It's funny, there's this thing that I do whenever I'm speaking, and I've probably already done this 20 times during this episode. I'll recognize that there's a straightforward way to say something. Just A to B, super easy. But I very much value the ability to speak, I don't know if I would say creatively, but just effectively, in a way that truly translates my mind into my thoughts. And so I'll see the A to B, I'll see the straight line, and then I think, oh no, we should try and go around here and use this word and make sure that this plugs in here and just have a super refined sentence. And you get better at it through practice. I definitely am a lot better at speaking to this camera, especially in the podcast sense, because I'm kind of just in a more casual mental posture, just talking my shit. But I find it funny that I overcomplicate it just out of the skill building of being an effective communicator. And so, yeah, trying to maybe embrace a little bit more of the conciseness over just the artistry of speaking, because that doesn't always communicate to a large amount of people. That doesn't always communicate an idea simply in a way that people want to digest it. Maybe it's a little bit more work to digest the way that I try and be good at speaking. Regardless, I kind of just forgot where the hell I was going with that. What was the question? What are the parts of you feel are most lacking? Oh, yeah. Being more immediate, being more on the spot with just sharing a wider spectrum of who I am on my videos and whatnot. I won't share all of it. I make some pretty bad jokes. but maybe some of them will make their way to Instagram. I filmed one yesterday, which I felt like was very timely. I was driving and I saw somebody walking with a golden retriever, and it's just the cutest freaking dog. And then I made this little video. If you follow me on Instagram, you might see this pop up in the next little bit. Or I guess this episode will be coming out a week and some change from now. So maybe you would have already seen this. That'd be pretty cool. But I said, yeah, if you own a golden retriever, it's kind of just a cheap shot. Because you wanted to buy a dog and you just chose the cutest one. I feel like that's a little bit high key. So just making the joke that it's such a blatantly cute ass dog and then you just get the thing. Not really fair. But anyways, just stuff like that. I feel like sharing more of it is really fun. Also, more of a mindset thing lately for me. I've always been very long-term optimistic, which allows me to, in the short term, be a little bit more realistic. And if something's pissing me off, I hate this thing, this is stupid, whatever, and just be real. Because why not? With that long-term optimism and short-term, I wouldn't say pessimism, but short-term honesty, I've tried to pair a little bit more of short-term optimism. And I do this through sarcasm because that really clicks with my mind, where I've been loving this little saying, the universe is conspiring in my favor. So when something goes wrong or pisses me off, I say, gosh, man, I would definitely try and do this to me as well if I was the universe, because the trend of my life is just looking way too good right now. So it's speaking a little bit of this funny positivity into my life in these shorter term moments, because, I think that actually works. I think just showing up for yourself in that positive kind of way, not in a toxically inauthentic positive way. Ooh, see, I tried to do that thing I was talking about where I had a dope ass sentence and I messed it up. I quit. I'm kidding. If I have that toxic positivity, it just absolutely doesn't work. But to be authentically positive, to give a little bit of a hint of sarcasm in there as well, which again just kind of works for my mind. It gives me some of that realistic edginess when I'm talking to myself, but also, hey, things are going in the right direction, because what other option do they have than to go in the right direction? So I've been practicing that a good bit for sure. A little bit of positivity. Why not? I was also going to say something else. Now I'm forgetting. It was good. Just trust me on that. Let's see. We're already at 33 minutes. Funny enough. One more question. Can you give advice on how to maintain discipline? Can I? It's damn near all I do. To be disciplined. This is going to be my main... Oh, and I remember the thing that I was going to say. Damn it. Maybe I'll get to it after I answer this question. The main thing, the main pillar in my mind of being disciplined, it's the art of the override. So here's what discipline feels like, okay? Imagine you are more sad than you've ever been in your life, more overwhelmed than you've ever been in your life, more stressed than you've ever been in your life, more angry than you've ever been in your life, all in one moment. You just feel it. Your face hurts because you just can't take it anymore. Your freaking body feels like shit. Your whole life is falling apart. In that moment, could you smile for just 1 second? Could you just remove all of that and just show those pearly whites and give it a good smile? Lower the shoulders. Posture up, give it a nice little happy bounce, and just smile. Could you do it? You know what I mean? Overriding the way that you feel and acting differently in a moment. Could you do that? Because that's what discipline feels like. When it's time to wake up in the morning and it's the last thing you want to do, but you still get up, it feels like that sadness that you're smiling in the face of. You're standing up in the face of tiredness. You're getting in the cold shower in the face of just wanting to be warm so bad. You're going on a run in the face of wanting to sit on your ass. That is what discipline feels like. So if you can practice the art of the override, then you can be a disciplined person. So every time that you don't want to wash your dish after you eat dinner, you stand your ass up immediately and you go do it. That is genuinely how to practice discipline. But maybe you wanted an answer that was supposed to feel good. That's too damn bad. You can't get it. Because discipline is inherently going against the feeling of weakness or an emotional victimhood or the tiredness or all these things that I just mentioned. It's not going to feel good. So when someone's on Instagram saying, I didn't want to do this, but I'm out here anyways, and you go, oh, hell yeah, I bet that feels awesome. No, it doesn't. What are you talking about? It's the opposite. It never feels good to do what you don't want to do. Discipline, again, fundamentally speaking, is doing what you don't want to do. So can you practice doing what you don't want to do more? Because that is exactly how you become disciplined. Oof. I'm always the bearer of bad news with that one. I'm supposed to have a feel-good answer, right? I simply don't. The story I was going to tell before about my ultra-positive mindset is the fact that I own a house back home in North Carolina. I live in Austin, Texas, if you didn't know. And I had these tenants, screwed me over, led to 5 months of vacancy, basically, just throwing money every month at the mortgage for an empty box. And then someone just signed a lease for 2 years. I'm going, wow, what a blessing. The universe really is conspiring in my favor. And then the day before the deposit is due, oh, my brother, who this girl was moving into the house with, my brother lost his job. Can't afford it anymore. Well, there we go. And I said, wow, it feels like the damn thing is conspiring not in my favor. But in that moment of dealing with the back and forth and, hey, you kind of signed a legal contract, dumbass, I'm realizing that, man, I just don't want my energy to be spent on that at all. So I'm actually going to sell the damn thing. Screw it. Because I cannot get myself to spend more and more energy in that direction. Bickering with people who just want to take advantage. It's not worth it at all. So I've had to utilize this positive thinking, the real deep breath to take a step back and just, because this won't matter a year from now. Hell, it doesn't even matter right now. Screw it, dude. The universe is conspiring in my favor. So what am I going to do? Get upset about it? Absolutely not. I'm just going to keep realizing that success is trying so hard to just break into my life. And it's only a matter of time before that motherfucker breaks the lock. So there we go. I answered maybe 4 questions total, but we're at 40 minutes now. And this has been a lot of fun. I truly hope that you can walk away from watching this feeling like you learned the crap out of something. And if you did, make sure to let me know. If you're watching on YouTube, click subscribe so you don't miss next week's episode. Definitely leave a comment because I want to hear from you. And like the video too. That'd be pretty legendary. If you're listening on Spotify, you can leave a 5-star rating on the show. That would be legendary. And you can also comment. I want to hear from you. Would be absolutely amazing. Oh my gosh, wait. That reminds me of something. I got questions from my Instagram, but there was a comment on one of the Spotify comments that I forgot to answer, and somebody said, I think they said, I'm 17, and on your next Q&A, can you answer this? I'm not going to forget this. I don't care how long it takes. Where is this freaking comment? Oh, here it is. This was 25 days ago, and I'm remembering this. That's because I have a great memory, because I tell myself I have a great memory. Hey, I have a question. Maybe for your next episode when you do a Q&A. I do one a month, so that's why this is a long time ago. I'm 17, and I realize I'm way too easily influenceable. How can I make myself more sure of my opinion on any topic and decide for myself instead of following the advice of my friends and coach blindly, even if they want the best for me? How can I sort what could really benefit me and start doing it, and what I might consider a distraction and choose not to do? Hey, what a cool ass question, first of all. And I have a semi-simple answer here. Active versus passive thinking. An active thinker is somebody that knows the why behind every one of their behaviors, every one of their choices, maybe every one of their thoughts. That might be a tougher one. But when you are actively thinking, you're constantly in question, you're constantly curious. I would say this question inherently in itself is curious. It's asking why. People who are self-aware are typically the most common to wonder if they are self-aware. And being easily influenceable, there's a passivity there. There's a blind trust there. And I don't want to turn you into a conspiracy theorist necessarily, but I think you should be questioning what anybody says. Are my friends telling me what to do because they just want me to be like them? And being like them would make them more comfortable instead of being like me, which is different from them, which might challenge them to become better. You got to start looking through people to their life experience, what they might be feeling. Because as an individual, it's hard to say, oh, that person probably just feels a lack of confidence and that's why they're being mean to me. Typically, it's just, why is this person being mean to me? What did I do wrong? Why am I such a terrible person? And we take this almost unfair sense of ownership a lot of the time. And so realizing that a lot of people act out of projection and out of a lack of confidence in these kinds of things. And so actively thinking, actively wondering as much as you possibly can, and questioning the people that are around you, like you said, even if they have good faith in trying to lead you in a certain way, that's not free of their own bias and their own experiences and their own desire for comfort. So coming up with your own best ideas, I genuinely think it's keeping an active and open mind. Because as people, we want to kind of jump into the tribe. We want to be on someone's team, and then the team makes you feel really good. I'll tell you what, most of the shit that I talk about and the way that I live, I only have a bunch of friends and community because of it, because I spent so much time alone to where I built confidence within that. But if you don't have confidence in your own ideas, of course, you get swayed from one place to another. So don't allow your mind to be too attached to this team sort of tribal mentality. Having real community is super, super important. But I think there's a lot of ways that you can be kind of synthetically led to not the best kind of community today. So I know I just threw a lot of things at you, but definitely make sure to not leave too much passivity in your mind. No mindless decision making. Just bring intention to being an active thinker. And I think you're doing just fine, again, based on this question. So how's that for the end of the pod? Again, like and subscribe and comment and leave a 5-star rating and all of those great things. Again, if coaching or community that I mentioned earlier in the episode are something that you're interested in and you want to build an actual unbreakable discipline, an incredible relationship with yourself, real confidence, please reach out. I will show you exactly how I can get you to where you want to be, and it is my favorite thing to do, as you can imagine. Other than that, my newsletter I send out 2 a week. If you want to subscribe to that, you can do so at the links in the description of this episode. And I think that might be all. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot no phone dinner. If you eat dinner tonight, what is your phone doing in your hand? Throw that shit away. Throw it out the window. You got to exist in that present moment with yourself. Just look at what's around you. It's a boring-ass room. Yeah, maybe. But maybe if you just put away all the distractions, your mind will take you to some awesome ideas, a great appreciation for the present moment with yourself. You'll be even more human than you thought you could be. So when you're eating dinner, no electronics, no phone, no laptop, no TV, not even music. Maybe some frequencies would be cool. Maybe that's fine if you need a little space filler for your brain. But other than that, no phone dinner. Let's make life absolutely incredible. I love you guys. I will see you in the next episode. Have an awesome day. Bye-bye.